all kinds of
Yes.
betting charges
Yes.
when it
Yes.
comes down to things
Indeed.
like that. We are going to talk about a man of the match performance from Callum Chambers, of course. There's been a lot of chat about him on this station, on this show, of course, over the past month or so. But when I came on air beforehand just to preview the shows coming up, I was talking about the defence and the fact that Callum Chambers really is coming to the fore now.
Yeah, you know what? I got to hold my hands up. I thought, after seeing him last season play, he I was talking to the guys from the Fulhamish pod, and they were saying last season they played him at right back, and he was absolutely awful. And he did much better in defensive midfield. And I thought that this season, if we'd see him either in central defence or defensive midfield, I would not have put money on him being a backup right back. And you can't say anything other than he's been an absolute stud really as backup for Bellerin. I think he's taken to the role. Maybe it's experience. He's got a bit more experience than Maitland-Niles, who's kind of struggled to fill the role. And obviously it's not his favoured position, but I think Chambers has come in and he hasn't put a foot wrong really. I think what we've really done well is kind of hide his weaknesses in terms of he's not really been exposed to pace. I mean, if you look at the Man United game, he was playing against Daniel James, one of the quickest players in the Premier League. Didn't really expose him on a one-on-one too often. On Sunday as well, I thought he did pretty well, and he gets forward and he kind of helps with the attack. So he's done really well, I think, and he deserves all the accolades he's getting recently.
When you look at the actual stats, and you can sometimes read too much into this, of course, he had 20 more touches than any other player. He contested the most tackles. Only Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had more shots than Callum Chambers. So that kind of shows his attacking prowess as well. You mentioned Ainsley Maitland-Niles there. I just want to touch on him in terms of his follow-up from last season, because you said that obviously it's not his preferred position. He played against Standard Liège during the week. Didn't perhaps have the best performance. Has he gone a bit backwards for you?
He's played more of his favourite position, didn't he, against Standard? He was playing more of a sort of a right-sided midfielder, and you'd have thought that, that's kind of his position. He said in an interview that, that's more of his favourite position. He kind of flew under the radar. He didn't really shine he didn't do much wrong. Just, Martinelli and Saka and all the other young boys, they really kind of came to the fore, and he kind of flew under the radar and was sort of like left in the background. And I do worry for him. It's early in the season, you never know. But I wonder where is there a place for him in this squad? Maybe he might just be a utility man, but I think he wants to be more. I think he wants to stake a claim in this squad. I mean, he's seeing not just the guys of his age, but the youngsters, the 18-year-olds coming through and really sort of like staking a claim and putting a marker down. And you're looking at Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He's got a lot of talent, but you're just wondering, is it a confidence thing? He just doesn't seem to fit, with where this team are and where the team wants to go at the moment.
Well, we are going to get more into the defence a bit later on the show. Plenty coming up, of course. We're going to be speaking to Akil Vyas, who's a board member of the Arsenal Supporters Trust. We're going to be looking back at the win over Standard Liège, of course, in the Europa League. Some comments as well from Arsene Wenger today, which are slightly controversial, especially considering they involve a North London rival that we're not going to mention right now. We'll get onto that later. But just to finish up on the Bournemouth game itself, a decent first half, a not so decent second half. It wasn't the greatest performance, but crucially, you got the job done.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the show, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Famous saying, if we go on to claim a top 4 place, this will just be a footnote, really. You look back at these one, it's just another result. But the manner, I think there's been a lot of chat online. About the manner of the result, the performance. Some people are saying a result to result is 3 points. We're right up in the mix. Other people are saying the kind of performance we put in cannot be sustained for the rest of the season. And I understand that 3 points is 3 points, but the performance really did leave a lot to be desired. You touched on the performance in the first half. I thought first half was decent as well. I worried towards the end of the first half, thinking we need to stick a couple more goals in past this lot, because half-time turnaround, I could see it coming. After that Watford game, I just thought this team are too mentally fragile. I don't know what's being said in the change room. And also, Bournemouth couldn't play that badly again in the second half. And they didn't. They came out, they got in our faces, they were much closer to us, they played with a high intensity. They were pretty toothless, but if Callum Wilson puts one of those chances away, or Josh King puts one of those chances away, we're talking about a different thing here altogether.
Yeah, you are. And Callum Chambers did have a great chance, of course, when he danced through the defence. Callum Chambers, of course, coming to the rescue there from Callum Wilson. But like you said, Arsenal aren't a Liverpool or Manchester City at the moment. Let's not beat around the bush. They're absolutely nowhere near that level. So I don't think that we can expect the quality of performance week in, week out. There are going to be lulls. There are going to be ups. There are going to be downs in terms of the performances. But when you look at it, the bare bones of it, that is 15 points from 8 games. Just 1 point, by the way, behind Manchester City in second place. Arsenal sit in third place in what is going to become a relatively competitive top 4 race now. I mean, in terms of the top 6, are Manchester United included in that? We don't know. Leicester City look like they're going to break into it. Crystal Palace, for crying out loud, sitting in 6th place with Burnley behind them. The Premier League after 8 games is already extremely unpredictable. But Arsenal, 15 points from 8 games, 1 point behind City. You would take that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, like I say, on the face of it, you would, and many half the fan base do, and have, and will. And they're very happy with, or they're satisfied with what is seen as progress right now. The other half of the fan base are worried because last season, whilst we were on our 22-game unbeaten run, we were picking up points. The performance, the underlying theme of those performances were that we were letting in. We were treading water. We weren't as defensively solid as we might have looked, and it kind of came home to roost towards the end of the season. This season, I'm thinking he's had a year to bed in his ideas, his tactics, his philosophies. He's got a bit more of his own players. He understands the league a bit more. If it was a blip, it'd be fine, but it's not a blip. It was a dodgy performance against Watford. First game of the season against Newcastle wasn't great. Even the Man United game, we got as much as I thought we could have got. Some people were saying that we were disappointed not to get 3 points, but a team like ours going over there with a record like we have against them, I couldn't. I didn't expect any more than a point. It's not. I don't think. I'm hoping we're not going to see this kind of run of form, feature in the next 9 games. We've got some winnable games, manageable games, starting with Sheffield United up at Bramall Lane. Not an easy game. Liverpool went up there and got a dodgy goal to win. They got a very fortunate goal to win. If we play this over there, I fear. So we've got to find a solution. We've got to. The performances have to match the results. They have to pick up, because you can't keep playing like that throughout the rest of the season.
So do you think, Giles, that there's, from my perspective, the way I look at it and the way I hear you talk, use the word blip there. You're saying it's not a blip. For me, it's nowhere near a blip, because when I look again at the statistics and you look at things on the face of it, that's 1 defeat this season against Liverpool, right? That's no great shakes. You lost to Liverpool, who have won every single game this season and look set to win the Premier League. 8 points now, that gap between them and Manchester City. But that's just 1 defeat this season. Is there an unrealistic expectation placed upon Unai Emery?
An unrealistic expectation in getting to the top 4?
Of where Arsenal should be right now?
Well, I don't think there's any fan, or not many Arsenal fans that will think we should be winning it or competing with Liverpool for the title. I think most Arsenal fans would expect to get into the top 4 this season. I don't think that expectation is unrealistic, especially when you look at our rivals, the rest of our rivals, who are kind of stuttering and trying to, stuttering to find form. This is a good opportunity, as good as opportunity as any recently, to get into that top 4, to embed ourselves into that top 4. And I don't think it's unrealistic to expect him to take us in, to get us into the top 4 for next season.
And me neither. I don't think it is. And as things stand, you are in that top 4. And if you continue the form, I know what you're saying about performances, but if you continue the form, yes, Sheffield United next, they seem to be doing better away from home than they're doing at Bramall Lane this season. Then Crystal Palace at home, you'd think on the face of it, that would be a victory, but like we said.
And last season.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And then it's Wolves at home, but we know what Wolves are like against the top 6. They may even break into that this season.
They just beat Man City, didn't they?
They did.
So... is it a given? I don't know. But the next 9 games, before we meet Man City on the 14th of December or whatever, we've got to get as many points. I think, we talked about 27. You've got to be looking at 20, at least, points out of that run of 9 games. So is it impossible? Is it unrealistic target? I don't think so. But we've got to pick up. We've got to pick up our form.
We've got to pick up. Well, I tell you what. Spare a thought. Well, you're not going to spare a thought, but let's just be happy that right now there is another team in North London who are perhaps not doing as well as Arsenal are. This is the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport.
Giving your team a voice. Love Sport Radio. Digital radio offers great sound quality and more stations than ever before. And we want to make sure that you get Love Sport on your digital radio. Just press the auto tune or auto scan button and Love Sport will appear on your menu. Love Sport on digital radio.
You alright, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah? Really? It's just, there's a massive grizzly bear sitting on you. You sure you're okay?
Well, now that you mention it.
Sometimes we say we're fine when we're not. But with 1 in 4 experiencing a mental health problem, if your mate says he's fine, he might not be. Be in your mate's corner and ask twice. Time to change.
If you're in business, I bet you hate wasting money. We Do Taxi Tops can help you achieve minimum wastage on your advertising costs and maximum exposure. Our revolutionary taxi tops can target your potential customers in the right place at the right time, so your message has the greatest potential for making an impact. We Do Taxi Tops. Visit WEDOOH.com. We Do. The smarter, quicker way of advertising in London, supporting London businesses of all sizes.
Hello, I'm Tim from Bolsover. I'm a retired teacher. I was looking for a better electricity deal from my parents when I got an email from a spokesman said it was a fixed deal for 2 years, which was better for my parents, less for them to worry about. And when I had to look at the sums, I had to recheck because I couldn't quite believe it. They were going to save over £900 each year they were on that deal. Needless to say, we signed up pretty quickly.
With a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
Exercise. It doesn't have to mean Lycra or a fancy gym membership. All you need is 10 minutes and you. Because a regular 10-minute brisk walk is a great way to get more active. Whether that's walking to the shops or getting off the bus to stop early. Picking up the pace and getting your heart pumping can make a real difference to your health. So, to see how much brisk walking you're doing and how you can fit more into your day, download the free Active 10 app, because there's only one you.
This is Love Sport.
Yep, this is Love Sport and the Arsenal Fan Show, no less, on Love Sport. Me, Matt Beadle, here with Giles Anyam from Gunnerstown. If you want to join the debate, it's very easy. It's so simple to do so. 0208 70 20 558. You can WhatsApp us on that number as well, or tweet us at Love Sport Radio. We are reflecting on that 1-0 win over Bournemouth at the weekend at the Emirates. And a man in particular, Giles, I want to move on to now, is a certain Dani Ceballos, a man who burst on the scene, shall we say, for Arsenal in the Premier League. A great opening performance against Burnley, and everyone was like, this is the real deal, this guy. And I think when you look at the Premier League, we can't just expect players, especially players of Ceballos' stature, shall I say. He's slight, he's slim, he's quick and effective on the ball, but the physical nature, the pace and the power of the Premier League sometimes can hold players up. And in Ceballos' case, I think it's been like that. It's taken him a bit of time, but he's slowly but surely getting there, and he proved that again at the weekend.
Yeah, he had a great start, didn't he, to his career, his Arsenal career. Then I think it kind of came a bit, it kind of hit the wobblers against Liverpool. And, to be honest, all of our players did, against Liverpool. But he's slowly coming back. I think it's early season. It's very early. Our first impression is when you see a new guy come in, and the first thing he does is takes a 25, 30-yarder shot, and it just goes over. You think, ooh, it looks a bit special. It's come from Madrid, good pedigree. He's a good player. He really is a good player. And I don't know, again, where is his best position? I think that might be something to do with it. If we can figure out where he's best deployed, probably see the best out of him. At the moment, he's playing in the pivot. He's playing in the 8-10 role. We might be playing on the left. We haven't really found the right position for him and the right blend to get the best out of him at the moment. But you know what? What I like about him, he doesn't shy away. He doesn't hide. Like you talked about his frame. He gets stuck in. He's not shy about getting stuck in and putting a foot in and retrieving possession. And I think that's what we like, the fans. Not only just the silky skills, but his determination, his character. He wants to get stuck in. He chases back. He presses. He wants to show that he's playing for the shirt and for the badge. And I think hopefully there's as he gets more used to the Premiership, it's an upward trajectory for him.
Let's hope so. You mentioned the regaining possession as well. 11 times more than any other player again at the weekend, and the most passes in the opposition half. I guess you kind of expect that. He adopted more of a number 10 role, didn't he, at the weekend? I'm delighted. Someone who's probably got an opinion on that is Akil Vyas, board member of the Supporters Trust, joins us now. How you doing, Akil?
Evening. Good, thanks.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good.
Have a good day yesterday?
I think it's, you know what, for years people were saying points over performances, because if you remember the sort of latter Arsene Wenger time, and maybe not the last couple of seasons, but the bit in the middle, still playing decent football, good football at times, but just not getting those results. And ultimately now people were saying they want results over performances, but then when you sit through 90 minutes of what we sat through yesterday, you think, wow, I'm not sure what I want at the moment. It's certainly confusing us.
Axe, what was the atmosphere like in there? I mean, you know, especially the second half. What the people around you? What was the actual feeling
Quiet.
like? Really?
Yeah, it was quiet.
It was a bit empty as well, wasn't it? It wasn't full yesterday neither, was it?
Yeah, I mean the empty seats issue it has been an issue, for a while, and for a game that's at 2:00 on a Sunday, not 4:30, and a game that's not on TV, I was quite surprised to see empty seats. But I mean, quiet. I think we kind of let Bournemouth back into the game, and we've sort of done that a lot this season, where we have, if we have gone up, we've sort of sat back a little bit, and maybe Unai's taken a creative player off and given someone else a bit of experience. It's not quite always worked. I mean, you talked about Dani Ceballos, but I mean, if you remember the Watford game, thought he was one of our better players, getting us, beating the press, picking up the ball from the centre-backs, and then we took him off and we just lost control of the game and drew the game. And you think about Old Trafford, last kick of the game, we had a free kick. Man United don't have any chance to get that ball forward. There was no time. Yet, I think Unai Emery pulled two of the players back to the line. You saw Man United yesterday, David De Gea came up for that. We put two of our players on the halfway line. So there's certainly, something there. But yeah, I mean, generally it was pretty quiet because really there wasn't much happening.
What do you think about? You talked about the performance. We talked about the performances as well. I mean, do you see it picking up? Do you see him finding a solution anytime soon, or do you think fans are making too much of it?
I think having some certain players back will help. I mean, last year, Unai Emery relied on his fullbacks to provide a lot of width, and having two fullbacks who are naturally better going forward, as well as probably better defending as well than the ones we've had. Even though Callum Chambers did play very well actually yesterday and at Old Trafford, but having them back might help. It potentially helps him and offers out a back five as well, or three at the back, however you want to say it, potentially for away games. So there's more options there. I still think the midfield, there needs to be a balance. I'm not quite sure. I mean, as I was sort of on hold, I could hear you guys talking about it, and there certainly isn't quite the balance there in midfield. I mean, under Unai Emery, everyone struggled to play number 10. I mean, Aaron Ramsey tried it, Mesut Ozil, Joe Willock. Danny Ceballos as well. No one's really nailed it. It looks like we have a lot of number 8s, so the box-to-box type players. And I'm just not sure, is Lucas Torreira in the thinking? He's kind of played Europa League. Has maybe just Matty Guendouzi just absolutely surprised everyone, and he's playing at a level that we didn't expect him to be at so soon? I don't know. But there's certainly something in that balance that isn't quite right yet. Do you think,
at the pre-season, people were actually... What people really seemed to focus in on was the fact that we were playing 4-2-3-1 and we looked pretty good with it. And then coming into the season, I think he's abandoned it pretty much. I think he seemed to play a semblance of it on Sunday, but for pretty much a lot of the season, we played 4-3-3. Why do you think he's gone away from that?
Not sure. I mean, maybe the signing of Pepe potentially changed that. He wants Pepe further forward, sort of closer to the strikers. Maybe it was obviously at the start of the season, Aubameyang was playing a bit more wide with Lacazette in the middle. Potentially just wanted those kind of in midfield. Wide men can get closer to Aubameyang. I mean, you've seen it at times where he's even played two up. You think about Anfield. Pepe was quite alongside Aubameyang. And Lacazette, I don't think started, did he? So there's obviously that's the thing. I think he's still not quite sure of his best formation, his best system, and he's obviously trying to get Pepe in. Sort of Reece Nelson's been in and out. I think when Lacazette comes back again, you've got a decision to make there because Saka's done quite well. So I think it's just a case of he's not quite sure of his. If there was a final tomorrow, I still don't know who he would play.
Yeah, exactly.
Akil, just another player that I wanted to mention. We were going to discuss him later in the show, but as we've got you on the line now, you mentioned the midfield there. Record signing, £72 million, Nicolas Pepe. I was with an Arsenal fan the other day, and he described Pepe as the elephant in the room. It's just 1 goal in 10 appearances. I'm not saying he's been brought in to score goals, but his goals record for his previous club was obviously very good. It's not... I mean, we talk about hitting the ground running as a new signing. What's your view on him at the moment?
I mean, one thing, to be fair to the guy, it takes time to settle in the country. It's a faster pace. He's obviously playing with different players, but the jury's still totally out. I'm not sort of one of them who's just gonna sort of give blind faith to a player. Have I seen enough in Nicolas Pepe? Probably not yet. I mean, even people will talk about Dennis Bergkamp and Thierry and Robert Pires, but you still saw something in them. I remember the first time I saw Robert Pires, and I just saw, wow, there's a player in this guy somewhere. Once he settles, he'll be a great player. Same with Dennis. With Nicolas Pepe, you haven't quite seen that yet. Are we playing to his strengths? He's apparently one of the quickest players in the world. Are we playing a bit too much to his feet? There's been at times where we've played to his chest and his head. So I think it will take a little bit of time. We have to kind of get suited to his way of playing. But, I don't know. It could be a confidence thing as well. He has had shots on target. He has had chances, but he's either skied them or he hasn't taken a touch when he should have taken a touch. And maybe it's just confidence. And when 1 or 2 go in, the rest follow. Obviously, the one he has scored was the penalty. So, but for me, he hasn't quite shown much. I think with Lacazette coming, if you were to ask me who comes out, Pepe or Saka, you'd probably have to say it's Pepe. So, he's still young. He's about 24. He'll take a few months. So hopefully he'll come good. But I think we must start playing to his strengths. But that again comes back to that midfield. If that midfield balance isn't quite there and we're not providing the service, then you are going to struggle. I mean, this season Aubameyang scored a lot of goals, but I don't really think the service has been too great.
No,
we're just lucky we've had a striker who knows how to finish and he's taken chances, like at Old Trafford.
You
know
what, Ax? And I'm pain to say, because I know people, whoever's listening will be like, oh God, not this again. But I looked at the game yesterday and I thought, home game, against a team that are, laying off of us, lots of space for us to create. Why didn't we play Ozil? I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but at home against this kind of opposition, he'd have thrived in that kind of setting. And the thing is, I think Pepe needs that kind of player, especially at home, that can create space for him, that can create, that can get him in space. Because like you said, when he's picking up the ball, he's got 3 or 4 defenders around him. There's no space to run into or anything, and he's having to sort of do that kind of work where you'd think somebody like Ozil would make that kind of transition for him a lot easier, especially at home. Not so much away, but especially at home and against that kind of opposition.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about Mesut Ozil? It's just it's quite baffling. It's quite. I mean, he obviously signed an extension. It was under the old regime. The old regime were under a lot of pressure. They knew Alexis Sanchez was off, so they potentially panicked a little bit. But I mean, if you're a manager, I always think you need to use your assets and you need to use them and you need to manage them well. And at the moment, he's got an asset. He's got it on his driveway. He's got a Ferrari on his driveway. Okay, the Ferrari hasn't performed well. Maybe it's had a few mechanical issues, but it's still a Ferrari that on the right day can take you to where you want to go to. And that's like Mesut Ozil, I guess. Unless something's gone on in the back, there's a lot of sort of rumours about he's just not in training, sort of working in the intensity, high press, high intensity Unai Emery kind of wants from him. But I don't know, we're a club at the moment that, we're third, and obviously I'm chuffed about that. We're doing well, but we're still probably not creating as many chances as I would like. And if you stop creating those chances, it's going to be really tough. Like we saw with Aubameyang yesterday, we didn't really get a sniff, hit the post, but didn't really get a sniff. So, I think, if you've got an asset, you need to try and use him. And actually, yesterday, apart from Martinelli and maybe you could say Willock, who I think is number 8, but there wasn't much offensively there. If we had gone 1 down, I'm not quite sure what we would have done. There's no Reece Nelson or Mesut Ozil. So, it's a little bit baffling, but I guess when you're in 3rd place, you can probably get away with it. But
sounds like we're moaning, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those weird ones, isn't it? You'd like to know what's gone on.
Nice Ferrari analogy there, Akil. Very Martin Keown-esque, by the way. He talked about that on Match of the Day too, although that was for Adama Traore as well. He also actually slightly criticised, I guess, Saka and Aubameyang as well for not pressing enough against Bournemouth. It's been great having you on, buddy. Just before you go, let's just speak about this charity gala you've got going on.
Yeah, so it's on Saturday in Watford. And it's kind of labelled the Let's Make a Difference. So we do have a website called letsallmakeadifference.co.uk. And really, it's just something that I've put on with my family. We're raising money for 5 wonderful charities. One of them is the Arsenal Foundation, so there's a close link there. I've done a lot of work kind of with the foundation, and through my role at the Supporters Trust as well, we kind of do a fundraiser every year for them. And you know, they do some really awesome work. You know, they work obviously in our local community at Arsenal, Islington, but they also go global. And what they do is they give young people a purpose. They build football pitches all around kind of war-torn countries, giving these young lads and young females a little bit of a purpose. Instead of sort of hanging around the streets, they get them into the pitches, playing football. You know, they send coaches out there as well, and really making a difference to these young people's lives. So we're proud to support them, and we're proud to support all the other charities. So that's this Saturday in Watford, and as I said, letsallmakeadifference.co.uk has all the information.
Letsmakeadifference.co.uk.
Yeah, letsallmakeadifference.co.uk. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. Akil, thank you very much for joining us.
Mate.
Cheers, guys.
That was Akil Vyas, board member of the Arsenal Supporters Trust. We are going to be hearing from Giles, more from Giles, of course, and plenty more Arsenal fans after this.
This is Love Sport.
Every day someone dies waiting for a transplant. From spring 2020, the law around organ donation in England is changing to allow more people to pass on more organs to save more lives. Unless you choose to opt out or in an excluded group, all adults will be considered as a possible organ donor when they die. Whatever your choice, make it clear to your family and closest friends to ensure your decision is honoured. To find out more, or for the choice to opt out, visit organdonation.nhs.uk. Pass it on.
Hi, I'm Marilyn from Oxfordshire. My current insurance company quoted £245.08 to reinsure, and a spokesman said, obtain me a price of £173.49 for the same cover. This was a fantastic saving for me. And next time my car insurance comes up for renewal, I will be going through a spokesman said. No doubt about that.
With a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
If you're in business, I bet you hate wasting money. We Do Taxi Tops can help you achieve minimum wastage on your advertising costs and maximum exposure. Our revolutionary taxi tops can target your potential customers in the right place at the right time, so your message has the greatest potential for making an impact. We Do Taxi Tops. Visit WEDOOH.com. We Do. The smarter, quicker way of advertising in London, supporting London businesses of all sizes.
I love my brother. We do fun things like playing together. I like having hugs with Freddie. Freddie gives the best hugs. Freddie used to be very poorly, and the doctor said he might need a new liver. Then one day, a very nice person gave their liver to Freddie. It was amazing. We were so happy. Now he's around to give me more hugs than ever.
Tell your family you want to save lives. To find out more, visit organdonation.nhs.uk.
Love Sport.
This is the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport. I am Matt Beadle, joined by Giles Anyam from Gunners Town. If you want to join the debate, very easy to do so. 0208 7020 558. You can WhatsApp us on that number as well, or tweet us, if you like, at Love Sport Radio. We are going to move on to a bit of home form chat as well, Giles. We have to mention that Arsenal have won 17 home Premier League games under Unai Emery. Let's not forget that. Since the start of last season, only Liverpool and City, we go back to the debate, have won more.
Yeah, you can't argue that point. I can't argue that. The facts are the facts. You know, our home form, it's been sort of like our haven, really. That's the one place I expect us to pick up points. Away, not so much, but definitely away at home, I definitely expect that. So I'm not surprised. Actually, it's quite a good. That's actually really good reading, really. Actually, when you think it's only Liverpool and Chelsea and what
Man City, the top two.
Yeah. So you know, it shows that you know we're definitely one for our creature comforts at home, but yeah, if we can transform that away, that would be great.
Absolutely. The Fortress Emirates is what we're going to call it from now on. Delighted to say we've got Mark on the line now, Arsenal fan. Mark, how you doing, Mark?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Great to have you on. What would you like to talk about?
I was just going to ask really what people think about some of the overreaction at the moment to the performances rather than the results. You know, people seem to be looking past the results at the performances, and there seems to be a lot of worry amongst the fan base about how we're doing. We're in a bit of a false position due to having got away with it in a few games, and obviously the collapse of a couple of other teams that we won't mention. And what Giles thinks about that.
Well, you might, you're right, mate. Yeah, I've already said earlier on that you know, if it was just a blip, it would be fine. But I do worry, Mark. That performance yesterday worried me a lot because the second half was so disjointed. And the thing is, towards the close of the first half, I was thinking, if we don't put 2 or 3 past this lot, you know, it could be a bit worrying. And it kind of, you know, thank goodness, you know, Bournemouth had, you know, didn't take the few chances that they had. I think it's only 2 shots on target in the whole of the second half or something like that. You know, if we carry that kind of performance forward, you know, in the next 9 games, do you see us winning most of those games, especially away from home?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean we're into a period now where I think up until I think maybe we play Man City, that you've got what you would consider a lot of winnable games. But, you know, we do play some dodgy away games. We've got Sheffield away. I think we play Wolves as well, and Wolves have already shown that against the top teams they're definitely up for it. So, no, I agree. I mean, I think if we carry on playing in the fashion we did second half, we're just going to let teams back into games that we should be, you know, we're on the verge of getting another goal and really putting it out of sight, but we're actually giving teams a chance to get back in it.
Yeah.
It was very strange to see how we came out the second half and just didn't look as confident as we'd looked in the first half, and we really looked very disjointed and gave Bournemouth a huge sniff, and it was really down to them being a little bit toothless and a couple of decent challenges at the back that we stuck at 1-0.
Yeah, and I think I think your other point, Mark, about, you know, the overreaction. I have seen online people. I mean, you're going to get people who are anti-Emery out, and they're going to go right over the edge with their thoughts and opinions. For me, I think he's still got enough credit in the bank for me to see how it goes. We're third, 1 point behind the champions. Matt's just said we've got the third most wins at home after Liverpool and Man City. So, you know, I don't think there's no real need for people to kind of go over the board unless you've got an agenda. And obviously we know there's some people out there that do have an agenda, but the sensible people out there will say, you know, look, you know, the results are coming in. We just need the performances to pick up, you know.
Yeah. I still think there are a lot of people who were in the same situation with the previous manager, where they knew that it was time for him to go, but they were quite rational and calm about it, you know. And now I'm not seeing them suggesting it's you know, anything like Emery out, anything like that. But there are questions definitely being asked, and as long as it's sensible questions and healthy debate, then I think that's fine. As you say, there will always be, unfortunately, amongst our fans on social media, there will always be those people who are slightly carrying over an obsession from Arsene Wenger, and there are some people who are just sort of trolling and just off their head, to be honest. But I am seeing sensible fans who I respect who are starting to just sort of question some of the stuff that we're seeing and what is Emery's game plan, where are we going, and also the fact you're seeing 2 very different sides. You're seeing a Premier League team which isn't very exciting to watch and doesn't fill you full of confidence, and then you see the sort of Europa League and the Carling Cup team, and you see these youngsters who just go out, seem unafraid to play and just get on with it and are really exciting the fans. And I think it's hard to sort of think, well, hold on a minute, if they can do that, I know it's kind of the impetuosity of youth and that, but why can't senior pros feel a little bit more freedom and actually express themselves when they're supposed to be the ones who can play at a higher level?
It's almost like he's got 2 completely different game plans, isn't it? But in terms of where you are on the happy scale right now, Mark, of where you are with Unai Emery and Arsenal in particular? Like I said, just 1 point behind Manchester City, sitting in, as things stand, those Champions League spots. Are you content with life at the moment, or do you think there needs to be a change?
I don't think there needs to be any change, and obviously that's something for a long way down the road. We've only played 8 games of the season. We've probably played our hardest game, which was Liverpool away, and that's the one that we've lost. I just think what doesn't help Emery is the long unbeaten run last year. What was it, 22 games? Mm-hmm. Because I think people saw in that 22 games things that are quite similar to what we're seeing this time. And some people did get really carried away, and obviously there was going to be a whole load of that because of the fact that he just wasn't Arsene Wenger anymore, and it was a change. So people would get buoyed by that, the whole "we've got our Arsenal back" stuff. But I do think people got their fingers burnt a little bit last year by getting too carried away about it, and then seeing that awful collapse. It was just tragic to watch the team at the end of the season fall apart and throw away the Champions League place. So I think people are going to be quite cautious about it and not get too carried away this year, having been burnt by it last year. I think that's probably why people are quite cautious about getting too carried away.
Nice one, Mark. Thank you for joining us, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
No problem.
We are going to move straight across the Atlantic, in fact. Such is the global phenomenon of the Premier League and the fan base that Arsenal now stretches far and wide, Charles. We've got Silas on the line, calling from Dallas. How you doing, Silas?
Doing good. How you doing today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. What would you like to discuss?
Well, just a little bit of what the last caller had said. It's I feel like we are overreacting to what's happening now, but at the same time, I feel also that a lot of the reason why we are reacting is Emery is giving us the reason to overreact, and that's just based off watching his coaching skills. There are a lot of patterns that he's doing that's pretty much that he keeps repeating that's actually making a lot of fans nervous. And I mean, we could go back to when he was at PSG and his collapse, over there, at PSG. And I'm referring to the Champions League game. Also, the second half against Chelsea in the Europa League final. The Watford second half, just a few weeks ago, and the second half yesterday. So I don't know what his tactics are, but as a fan, I am a huge fan of Arsenal. I love this club, and I would die in love with this club. But at the same time, you can't keep repeating the same thing. A lot of fans who just watch you and just love the club are not happy watching what they see. And I don't know what the reason, what the problem is.
All right, Silas, can I ask you, where do you stand on the Emery front then?
Before the Watford game, I was all Emery in. I was by his side. After the Watford game, I started looking at the team and start asking a lot of questions about Mesut Ozil, and I really don't want to talk about Ozil because to me that's a problem that he created by himself. Ozil is not a good player. He's not performing at as one of our favorite players now. Great, fine, but don't make him a captain. If he's not in your plans, don't make him a captain. When you make him a captain, he becomes a topic, and everybody talks about it. Everybody both the folks who know what's happening, and you create that room for speculations and whether they're right or wrong. But you created that. So, and the same thing happened when he was at PSG with Thiago, Ben Arfa. So maybe it's just the way he manages his team, but he needs to get to the point where he comes out and let everybody know what the problem is and be very specific with it.
Do you think he's been affected by the fact that we've not got, we're only just getting the two fullbacks back? Lacazette's been out injured. We've got Holding coming back. Do you think their appearance or reintegration in the team will help Emery and the kind of performances improve?
Maybe, Maybe, because obviously we all see what we see on a Thursday night versus what we see on a Sunday. Two different teams, two different tactics, two different formations. I can't even tell you what our first 11 is after over 18 months or so. Maybe Bellerin and Tierney coming in helps the team a lot, but it is worrying when you watch an Arsenal team and you see the creativity, you see the fun, you see the excitement watching an Arsenal team, you see the passion. But now you see an Arsenal team and you see Aubameyang dropping deep. This team suffers from creativity, and we have our main creator who can't even make the bench. When fans see this, they ask questions, and when we have a coach who cannot come out and tell us what the problem is, then we start having questions. At least Arsene Wenger would come out and give us some crazy excuse, and we take that and we leave with that. But this, we don't even get a feedback at all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Silas, in terms of that, in terms of building a rod for your own back, especially with the captain scenario. We're going to have to let you go. But before we go, have you made it over to the Emirates before, Silas?
No, but I saw the team when they were in the United States during preseason, and I was there at the Bayern game, and pretty much screamed all through the game. So it was a good experience. Great experience.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for calling, buddy.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Bye bye.
That was Silas, a caller from Dallas, no less. This is the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport. We've got about 14 minutes left of the show.
Love Sport Radio, the station giving fans a voice. Listen to Love Sport Radio on your smartphone today. Simply download the free Love Sport app from the App Store or Google Play. Tap the play button and you'll be able to listen to your favourite station. Anytime, anywhere. Love Sport Radio, the station giving fans a voice.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah? Really? It's just, there's a massive grizzly bear sitting on you. You sure you're okay?
Well, now that you mention it.
Sometimes we say we're fine when we're not. But with 1 in 4 experiencing a mental health problem, if your mate says he's fine, he might not be. Be in your mate's corner and ask twice. Time to change.
You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage. You're in leakage. You're in leakage, you're in leakage.
Tenna men.
Cage.
Pants and pads.
You're
discreet. Masculine.
You're right.
Secure absorption zone. Buy online or in shops.
You're in.
Tenna men. Keep control.
Urine?
No.
Hello, my name's Paula. I'm from the Shropshire area and I'm a business development manager. I use a spokesman said for my car insurance where I've saved over £500 and also on travel insurance as well. So in total, me and my family have saved about £600. I would definitely use it again and I would definitely recommend it.
With a spokesmansaid.com. Fighting for you, saving you money.
If you're in business, I bet you hate wasting money. We Do Taxi Tops can help you achieve minimum wastage on your advertising costs and maximum exposure. Our revolutionary taxi tops can target your potential customers in the right place at the right time, so your message has the greatest potential for making an impact. We Do Taxi Tops. Visit WEDOOH.com. We Do. The smarter, quicker way of advertising in London, supporting London businesses of all sizes. This is Love Sport.
This is the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport. Me and Matt Beadle here with Giles Anyam from Gunnerstown. Plenty to cram into the final 12 minutes or so of the show. First off, Giles, I just want to touch on a certain youngster from Sao Paulo, from Brazil, and Mr. Martinelli.
Yeah.
Another 2 goals against Standard Liège. That's 2 starts and 4 goals for him now. And not just scoring goals, supplying goals as well.
Got an assist as well. I mean, the way... You know what's really good about him is... Because I knew nothing about him.
I don't think anybody did. Came from what? Ituano in Brazil for 6 million?
Regional division, I don't know. But what I saw, especially against Standard Liège, his movement is really, really good. I mean, for somebody that's supposed to be a left winger, he's got really kind of instinctive striker kind of like movements. You know, he hovers around, you know, and then he kind of makes a late move into the box, and he's always sort of like pointing, he's telling people where he wants the ball to be and whatnot. And you know, his whole game is really impressive and really interesting. You know, the way he makes run, the way he presses, he doesn't just press. He kind of waits for the defender to get the ball onto his foot, and then he kind of presses from an angle. And his constant energy. He reminds me a bit of Luis, kind of a hybrid between Luis Suarez, Carlos Tevez. You know, I know he's
It's not a bad hybrid,
It's not, exactly. I know he models himself on, or his idol is Cristiano Ronaldo, but he does remind me of a young Luis Suarez or a Carlos Tevez, a constant ball of energy.
Yeah, I agree. And you can't tell a whole lot from pre-season, but one of the things from watching Martinelli in pre-season was, like you said, was his movement, just that canny knack. And that is a skill. That is something that can make you one of the greatest strikers, the ability to move in the penalty area. If you're just a fox in a box, fine. And if you've got the ability to score and snuff out that chance, which he seems to have, and hey, look, I think he's developed far quicker than perhaps Unai Emery even thought he has done.
Absolutely. I mean, I've read a stat. I think I've read somewhere he scored 200 goals in 5 seasons as a kid playing for Corinthians? I think he was at before he went to Ituano. So he's got a striker's instinct, and you could just see the way he's moved, the way he moves, the way he thinks. He's instinctive. He's very brave. The goal he scored, I think he scored a header. I don't know if it was against Nottingham Forest or
we scored one against Liège at the near post.
Yeah. You know, that was a very deft header.
Goal.
And then the one against Nottingham Forest the week before, where he kind of put his head there where it hurts. He's a brave boy. There's a lot to like about him, and you know, hopefully, I think one thing I think about Emery is he does handle the young kids very well. He doesn't overplay them. He seems to know when to play them and when to give them breathe. And I think he's made a good impression. We'll probably see a lot more of it. I would have expected to see a lot more of him. Obviously, with Lacazette coming back, that might sort of like, influence whether we see him a lot in the Premier League. But definitely in the cup games, I can't wait to see the boy.
Yeah, and in particular, that first goal against Liège was scored from a Kieran Tierney cross. And let's talk about Kieran Tierney. In fact, let's talk about the defence, because I was thinking about this earlier and where Arsenal are at the moment, and that feeds into all the calls we've had and the subjects you brought up yourself in terms of, is it a blip? Are we happy with where Arsenal are at the moment? And in terms of getting ducks in a row, as it were, when you look at the defence for one, so you're coming back to has been David Luiz and Socrates, right? And you've got a mixture of Maitland-Niles and Callum Chambers and Kolasinac playing there now with Tierney and Rob Holding and give me the sense Rob Holding and Bellerin, coming back as well. Those three players, when you look at how they've played against Forest, how they played against Standard Liège, we're talking clean sheets, we're talking assists, we're talking goals that have been weighed in as well. Once those three come back, and we're hearing that Tierney and Holding are not far off, Bellerin perhaps needs a little bit more time to get that match fitness, but all of a sudden you've then got a much stronger defence. With Martinelli playing as he is, things could change and get much, much better.
I think once those three come back, once you bed those three players in, the defence, people will be a lot more assured about the defence. What I like about them, especially the fullbacks, is they're good one-on-one players. And I think playing in a team and a system that we play, you got to be a good one-on-one defender. You just got to be, because you will get exposed. I mean, a lot of people sort of lambast the two centre halves, and I lambast Kolasinac when I get a chance. But the cover in front of them is dysfunctional, so the onus on them is, can you defend for yourself? Can you defend the wide spaces? Can you defend one-on-one situations? And those three players, especially the two fullbacks, can do that. Especially Tierney. He's a real old school left back. I mean, a lot of people have made a point about he tucks his shirt in, he pulls his socks up.
Brilliant. Plenty of time for that. Plenty of time for that. I like him. I like the look of him. I think he looks really good.
He's got a bit of banter. You've listened to a few of his interviews and whatnot. He's a good lad. He's a roadman. He calls himself a roadman. So he's kind of integrated into the system. But yeah, I can't wait for him to come back. I think from a defensive standpoint, as far as the back four concerned, that will solidify us. It's the guys in front of them that we need to find the right blend for that. And I don't think we've really touched on Willock. I think Willock's done really well recently. I know a lot of people have talked about Guendouzi. He's what I liked about Guendouzi. He's got some flaws, but what I like about him is his character. He will step up. You can tell that he's got leadership qualities. He's definitely, in the long run, you can see him being a leader. He's allied his talent with that determination, that never say die attitude. But I think Willock, for me, should really be getting more look-ins in this team. You know, he's a very good instructional player, underrated technically, can do the doggies, got great stamina. We've seen a goal-scoring ability as well. You know, I think he should be getting more chances in this team.
And a great goal as well from him as well. Instinctive, just
Very
one
instinctive.
touch, bosh.
Exactly.
That is training ground. That is a skill, obviously a natural ability. I think you'd say. Just quickly to finish on the defence, William Saliba, we know is coming in next summer. There has been a news story today about Willy Bolly from Wolves, a potential transfer target in January. When he gets to the end of the summer, he'll have 1 year left on his contract at Wolves. They signed him for around 10 million, I think it was, in the season that they went up from the Championship. Anything in this, do you think?
It's the first I'm hearing of it. You know what? He's not a bad defender. I like him. He's very dominant. He can score. Very good from set pieces. I think he scored in the weekend or maybe in midweek.
He scored against Besiktas.
That's it, midweek, wasn't it? Yeah. You know, he's very strong. We need a kind of a dominant defender. He's not the Upamecano, which people would like and people are expecting. You know, Upamecano, I think his transfer, he's got a ceiling of about 60 million euros, which seems to be very much in our ballpark. But Willy Bolly, yeah, for us as a Premier League defender who knows the division, who knows the league, yeah, if we can't get Upamecano, why not? Yeah.
I just want to finish, Giles. We're coming to the end of this show on another story today. And some quotes from Arsene Wenger. Now, we often hear this when managers or ex-managers or players speak to beIN Sports abroad, that something tends to come out of that. On this occasion, it has done. He's been asked questions about Spurs and about Mauricio Pochettino in particular. And, you know, he said, I think he's done very well. It's what everybody acknowledges. The headlines are saying that he's had a dig at Arsenal. He's not exactly done that, but he has said, every year, people want something more from you. I experienced that at Arsenal. We were 20 consecutive years in the top four, but in the end, it was not enough. Today, if you get in the Champions League, people are very happy.
Yeah, they are.
You concur with that?
You know what? I concur with that, you know. I do concur with that because maybe in his time, you know, people thought he wasn't doing enough. He was happy. I'm not sure. I can't even remember. I don't really want to go back over old ground.
Sorry, Matt, am I putting you in a place you don't want to be? I apologise.
But I mean, in terms of now, today, absolutely, the top four is the holy grail now. He'd been saying it before, and it's coming to fruition now. People want it. People are happy to get in the top four simply because Liverpool and Man City are just a bit too far ahead at the moment, you know. And whereas before, maybe in his time, there was only four or five teams that were competing for top four. Now you got 6 or 7 teams outside of Liverpool and Man City. You've got 4 or 5 teams that are competing for top four for 2 places. So the competition's a lot harder. So just to get in there now is an achievement.
Absolutely. Well, we won't talk more about Arsene Wenger. Those days are heavily gone. Just a very quick loan watch before we go. Both Henrik Mkhitaryan and Mo Elneny not playing for the clubs Roma and Besiktas, respectively. Mkhitaryan is now injured with an adductor injury. Interestingly, Roma manager Paulo Fonseca has come out and said that he thinks Mkhitaryan was carrying that injury from Arsenal. That's all very well, but he passed the medical. So that argument is essentially quite moot. But he is going to be out for about 3 weeks. Mo Elneny is an interesting one. Obviously sent off in his opening game for the club. He was suspended for 3. He now apparently wants to leave the club. They've not won any games in which he's played. He's only played 3 games. They've not won any games at all this season, in fact. But he is saying that he wants to leave the club in January. So we'll wait and see what happens with that one. I'm presuming, from your opinion, he won't be welcome back at the Emirates.
No, but I mean, if they want to terminate, if Besiktas and Arsenal agree to terminate the contract, then he's coming back, and then oh my gosh, I don't know what we're going to do with him.
Okay, on that note, this has been the Arsenal Fan Show on Love Sport. International break next week, but we'll be back as always Monday at 7 p.m. We'll see you then.
Love Sport.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm